for all the classes that I was sucking at. So many times people give up. My grades were 52, worked my butt off. I ended up applying with Hey guys, what's up? My name's Chantel. I'm a first year vet student at the Western College of Veterinary Medicine. Today I wanted to make a video more specific about my personal application and talk a little bit about grades mostly and my work experience and the things that I did that I think kind of moved the needle to get me into vet school. If you have not seen my other video, I think it was like maybe even my first video, it's like my welcome or accepted into vet school video, and it kind of talks a little bit about how I'm a really non-traditional student. And so if you haven't seen that or you haven't been following, you can go and watch that video, and I'm just going to do a really short recap for like context. Oh, hi. So to start off, I am 30 years old, and like I said, this is my first year of vet school. I have 2 prior degrees, and this is my cat, Jetson, and he's always very helpful. I have 2 prior degrees. I graduated high school in 2011, and I started my Bachelor's of Agriculture with a major in animal science at the U of S in 2013. I graduated from that in 2017, and then the fall of 2017, I went into nursing, and I did my Bachelor's of Nursing in, again, the U of S, USask. Because I had some prereqs done, I was able to do that 4-year bachelor's in 3 years, and I graduated in 2020. Yeah. So all that to say, I've done a lot of school. I've done a lot of different things, and now I'm back to being a first year student, so I love that for me. Today I wanted to share with you my story about that a little bit because it really resonates with me how hard people try to get the job they want, chase the career they want, and so many times people give up because they are told it has to be done this way, you have to have X, Y, and Z, you'll never get in because you did this, or you have this, or you don't have that. And I just feel like that's not true. And I'm proof that it's not true, and I just hope this video is inspiring to somebody or motivating or helpful in some sort of way, no matter where you're at in your plan or your schooling, or if you're going back to school, whatever. Starting off with my grades, and I went back down memory lane, and if you see me looking up at my computer, it's because I have the grades up there from my very first semester of my very first year of my animal science degree, and I took chemistry 112, agriculture 111, English 110, bio 120, math 104. And in that order, my grades were 52, 66, 70, 65, and 61. That was my first semester of ag. And that's not good if you are trying to get into vet school. And I'm just gonna say it, that would never ever have gotten me into vet school. But thankfully things improved. I just share that with you because, like, I have heard people say, oh, if you have a 70 on your transcript, you'll never get in. And I just am like, well, I disagree. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I had a really tough time in ag. I was not a very good high school student. I didn't have a good background. Studying really wasn't like emphasized in my household. It wasn't something that was made to be important. I didn't care. And then I came to university, and that wasn't gonna work for me anymore, especially if I wanted to be competitive. But like, the advice I would go back and give myself as a younger student would be, what you do in high school, especially nowadays, I feel like so sets you up for your first year of university in so many ways. And I had no clue. I did not know that. And now I watch my niece, who's in grade 11 and grade 12, and she's taking AP Calculus and AP English, and I'm like, what was I doing with my life at that time? Because I wish I could have done that. So first year was terrible. Second year was a little bit better, more like 60s and 70s instead of 50s and 60s. Third and fourth year ag, I killed it. I was getting like high 80s, 90s. I got an award actually in fourth year for being in the top 10% of fourth year agriculture students in North America. Like, I super pulled up my socks. But when you're in a 4-year degree, if you do really bad in your first year and then even your second year, there's just not enough time to make up for it. So as hard as I tried and as much as I improved, my graduating average from ag was still only an 82.45%. That was my 4-year cumulative average. And the highlights of that degree, like I said, was math, which was 61, and biology was 65. Physics was also 61, and all these classes are specific prerequisites that I needed to take to get into vet school, and they were all the classes that I was sucking at. So not good for me, very stressful. And then chemistry, my best worst class. I had to take chemistry 112, chem 115, and organic chemistry. And in that order, my marks were 52, 54, and 58. So in ag, I was thriving. And I was able to apply to vet school in my third and fourth year because the minimum cutoff was 75%. So I had really figured it out by third year and fourth year that I had made the 75% average cutoff, but I was nowhere close to being competitive. Like, I think I applied with like a 76 or a 77, maybe a 78 one year, something like that. And just based on what I remember hearing from friends who had gotten in and friends who had applied, they were kind of talking like, to be competitive, you needed to be like 83, 84 average. And it seems like such a small gap, but to even move the needle like 1% on a degree is very hard when you're at those upper years of your classes. So that did not work out for me. Like I said, I applied twice, didn't get in. I didn't even get interviewed. They were just like, no, not even close. I wasn't on a wait list, nothing. And so I kind of freaked out a bit because this was my whole plan and now it's not working and I don't have a backup plan. And so I had to really think what I want to do. And at this point I knew I loved science and I loved medicine, and I had a few friends who were in nursing, so I switched into nursing. Applied like 2 weeks before the deadline, got in, like whole paradigm shift, I'm going for nursing. So started off with that, and by this point I had school figured out. Way better student, classes were a lot easier, I knew how to study. So many things fell into place that I ended up doing way better in my nursing degree, and I ended up graduating that degree with an 87%. So that was awesome. And at this point in time, vet school was not a thing for me anymore. I remember thinking, like, I'm done with that and I'm just gonna be a nurse and it's gonna be great, and this is what I want to do now. So graduated nursing in 2020, got my job, started working in long-term care, switched to surgery, and then I got sponsored to do the critical care program. And so keep in mind that 2020, the year I graduated, COVID, right? We all remember that. And so I went through the sponsored course and I started working COVID as like a pretty new grad. And I worked ICU COVID for 2.5-ish years. And it was insane. I learned so much. It was honestly such a good experience. I still pick up shifts in the ICU, but it also very quickly showed me that I could not do this job for 30 years. But that being said, it made me do some real soul searching, because now I was panicking again, being like, I couldn't do vet school, and now I can't do nursing, and I'm having a crisis, and what am I even doing with my life? And so a lot of like thought and soul searching went into this decision to apply to vet school again. And really what it came down to was that I really like nursing, but I never super loved it in the way that I always felt like I would love vet school. And so I had nothing to lose. Like, I already had a career. I could apply to vet school one more time, and if I didn't get in, I didn't get in. So I applied, and I got that letter that I was getting an interview, and I had been in some stressful situations working in the ICU, and let me tell you, I was so stressed about this interview that I think it was worse. And fumbled my way through the interview and got an acceptance letter and got in. And I still am like, I don't know how this happened. And partly that's why I make this channel, because I'm like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I hope this helps somebody, because I wish I would have had somebody like this to tell me that it doesn't matter how many detours you take, you can still get where you want to go. So with that, when I applied to vet school after nursing, I obviously had a higher average, but the way that the WCVM calculates its applying average is that they take your 2/3 all classes that you've taken and 1/3 your best year, and they add those together, and that's kind of what you end up applying with. And as far as I can tell, I ended up applying with an 84.72, and that's the best math I can do. I think it's pretty darn close. I might be like a little bit off depending on how they maybe calculated the classes I took in the summers or something, and I'm not 100% sure if they like took off grades because I had done so many years of university, and I have really tried to dig into this, and this is like the best number that I could come up with. But also have a little disclaimer in here that WCVM is the only vet college I've ever applied to, and so this experience just strictly relates to them, and all of the prereqs and my animal science degree, everything was done through this university. So it might be obviously different for like if you're looking to apply at OVC or like wherever else. This is just my story. So that's what I applied with after nursing to get into vet school. I'm pretty sure my applying average was 84.72, which is good. I mean, there's obviously people out there with way higher averages that apply, but I think there's people out there probably with lower averages that apply and get into. So that is just kind of a little bit of a ballpark range, and I'm all about grade transparency these days because, like I said, I wish somebody would have done that for me, and it would have made me feel a lot better when I was failing chemistry. So okay, that's enough of the grades, and now moving on to my work experience. On the application, you know, there's a section for your grades, there's a section for your work experience, there's a section for like leadership and extracurriculars, and I can't even remember exactly, but they just like kind of break it down into different areas. And I really felt like I was lacking in a ton of areas, or I definitely would have been if I didn't do nursing. And I'm not saying you need to do 2 degrees to get into vet school, but I'm just saying my nursing degree was super not a waste of time for me in getting into vet school, and I'll explain why in a minute. So first off, I grew up on a farm. We had animals. I could have any animal I wanted as long as I did all the chores, and so I did a lot of chores, but we had a lot of animals. I had horses, I had cows, we had chickens, we had sheep, we had goats. Not all at the same time, but I mean, throughout the years. Cats, dogs, I would find, you know, baby birds, or we had garter snakes or salamanders, like so many things. It was awesome. And then how I landed my first job actually was when I was around 15, I had started training horses and kept on doing that. And then I was just graduating high school, and I sold a lady a horse that I had trained. And it just worked out that this lady was a tech who worked at a local feedlot, and she's like, I love this horse, you made a really good first impression, I'm just calling you back because I would want to offer you a job. If you want to come ride with us, like, I want to hire you, which was super amazing for me. I got to ride my horse and chase cows all day, so I was happy. And that's what I did from 2011 until like 2012. And it was probably still to this day one of my favorite jobs ever. I just had so much fun. It was so good. And then when I started my egg degree in 2013, the summer between my first and second year, I went back to my hometown and I worked as a waitress because I knew waitresses could make like pretty good money in a pretty short amount of time. And so did that and learned a lot about people waitressing. And yeah, probably like I couldn't go back and waitress again, but it was a very good experience. And then so the summer between my second and third year of egg, I went and worked as a swine technician. And so I worked in a pig barn for 4 months. They had a whole bunch of different areas of the barn with different ages of animals that you could do different things, and learned a ton, worked my butt off. Was it a job that I wanted to do because I loved pigs? No, it wasn't. Was it a job that I took because I knew it would make me stand out and it would look good on my application? Yes it was. So did that, and then my summer between my third and fourth year of egg, I actually worked as a research technician at the university doing a research project. And this kind of flowed into my fourth year thesis research project that we had to do. And so I was able to find a supervisor, get a grant, do a whole 4 month research project. And then during the school year of my fourth year, I would write the thesis on it and run the stats and do all the lit review and all of that. And so I was able to do mine on poultry, and it was actually on a disease in poultry, and it was very cool experience. And it also gave me like an in for research, which I think is valuable. I find like the WCVM is really research heavy, and it's just something that the school prides themselves on. So if that's you and that's your situation, try and find that out if your school is kind of like a more research dense facility, and maybe something like that would be beneficial for you as well. And then finally, between my fourth year of egg, so I graduated egg, had applied twice, wasn't in, knew I was going into nursing school. Then I got a job working as a client relations specialist in a small animal vet clinic. And this was a really short-lived job. I found it didn't pay very well. It was really not good hours, but it was the first time that I had experience working in a small animal clinic, and I felt like I needed that experience on my application just to still be well-rounded. Because from what I have heard and what upper years have told me, and now I think seeing the diversity of students in my class, super beneficial to be as well-rounded as you can. Get the experiences that maybe you're not going to love. Maybe you are going to be an equine vet, or you are only going to do small animal, or you only want to work with exotics. But on your application, try and be well-rounded so that you can say, I know a little bit about so many things because I've put myself in these situations, and this is what I've learned from it, if it helps. And then, what else can I tell you? Well, then when I started nursing school, I had kind of checked out of vet school. I just was shifted into nursing, and that's what I was gonna do. But I love animals, and I was happy working with them, and I really enjoyed it. And now, because I wasn't like being so competitive and just trying to get the jobs that I could and the experiences that I could and everything I needed to do to get on my application, I kind of got to pick a job that could work with animals because I enjoyed it and because it was fun. And so I ended up milking evenings at a dairy barn, and I milked cows through nursing school evenings, like 2 out of the 3 years, I think. Yeah. And I actually really loved it. I found it super therapeutic. You'd go and it'd be evening and you'd put your headphones in and you'd milk, and when everything went smooth, it was just like lickety split. So fun. I really liked it. But that gave me like 2.5 more years of animal experience on my application when it came time to apply, which wasn't really the thought behind me working there. I just enjoyed working there, but it definitely helped in the long run just to help get hours and experience and all of that. So, and then of course I had to put my nursing experience on my vet med application. So my first nursing job that I got was in a long-term care facility, and then I worked on a really busy surgical ward for 5 or 6 months, and then I got offered the sponsorship to go through and take the critical care course, and then I worked in the ICU for about 2 years. So all of that ended up on my application, and I will say that was what they wanted to know about in my interview. And I found that really interesting. They asked me some animal-based questions for sure. Like, I can make a whole separate video on interview tips if that's something you guys are interested in, but a lot of it came down to my nursing experience, and a lot of it came down to why do I want to go into vet school instead of med school. And so I thankfully was prepared for that, and I had practiced that for my interview, but yeah, it definitely, it was a thing, and I don't really know what to say about that. For all of the animal experience that I did and how hard I worked and how many hours I had, my interview was mostly nursing, but that's okay. That's how it worked out. So that's me. That's my applying. That's my story. Those are my grades. That's my life experience. And I hope this video resonates with somebody. I hope that you find it helpful. I hope that it's entertaining at the very least. And if you did like this video, please subscribe, give it a like, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. I've had a few people comment that they are, maybe they're non-traditional and thinking about going back to school, or just kind of the more generic questions. Doesn't matter. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. So hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.